Hey, welcome to all my replay viewers. Thank you for joining me for 5 Childhood Wounds Simplified. If you don't know who I am Raven, and I am a counselor, life coach, and speaker known as the Soul Physician. And I typically work with career women to help them overcome the emotional past that impacts their future success. And so I'm so grateful to be able to be before you all today. Thank you so much for joining. I see y'all coming in the room super quick on today. It's been a while since I've been live on IG. So thank you for coming in today. So I want you, hey, Prophet Jimmy, I want you to share this broadcast with everybody that you know, anyone that you feel would benefit from this live video, anyone you feel needs to hear about childhood wounds, anyone you feel needs to hear this message. I want you to go ahead and share it with them. Thank y'all for coming in. Y'all, I did not put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so let me just hope that nobody calls me. I just thought about that, like, boop. So hopefully nobody calls me. If they do, we'll jump right back on. But thank you for all coming in. Thank you. It's been forever and a decade since I've got on IG Live, and so I'm so excited to be with you today. I asked a question on my IG stories about what you wanted to hear about, what information, what questions you had about your mental and emotional health, about your soul health, and just where you're going and where you're struggling. And so a lot of you answered about trauma. A lot of you wanted to know about childhood trauma. A lot of you wanted to know about things pertaining to your parents and the issues you may have experienced with them in your upbringing and your raising. Hello. And so I wanted to bring you some information to really help you in those areas and provide you with some context. So I'm just going to say hello to everyone that's saying hello to me. Hey, Loving Cherie Moore. Hey, Peculiar 84. Hey, Miss RV. Hello, Tress Parker. Hello. Hi. Miss Eshab. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm so sorry. ESHAB. Thank you for coming in. Again, go ahead and share this broadcast with anyone you feel would benefit from this information. Once you share it, put a heart for me. If you shared this broadcast, drop a heart in the comments. If you shared it with a family member, a friend, someone you know that would benefit from this, put a heart in there for me. Hello, Brittany. Hey, Official Ariel. Hello, Francis Nicole. Hello. If you shared this broadcast, please put a heart in the comment box for me. We want to get as many people on here as possible to talk about this topic. And so if you don't know who I am, again, just letting you know, I am Raven, and I am a counselor, life coach, and speaker known as the Soul Physician, and I help career women, typically I help career women to overcome the emotional past that impacts their future success. And so today we're going to be talking about 5 childhood woundings, okay? 5 childhood wounds simplified. And so you may be saying, like, okay, Raven, I know that there's something off, within my soul. I know that there's something challenging that I'm dealing with mentally. I know I have an issue connecting with people. I know that there's some things that I'm dealing with internally, but I cannot specifically put my finger on what may be happening or why it happened or whatever, that may be. And thank y'all so much for sharing. I see the hearts, so I know that you've shared with your followers. And so you may be saying, okay, I can't figure out what it is. I don't know what it is. I've been here before. I keep coming back here. It seems like a cycle. What is happening internally? I want to overcome this, and I just want to move forward. I hear all the time people say, I am just tired of being in this same spot, in this same place in life, and I am so ready to just push forward. And so what you have to realize and understand is, as an adult, you are going to see your life, you're going to interact, you're going to respond, you're going to decide, you're going to move forward through the lenses of that broken child that has yet to heal. So whatever you went through in childhood that you have not healed from, that brokenness, those areas of brokenness, they're going to fragment your ability to see and to have vision and your perspective. So whatever happened to you internally, whatever you experienced, rejection, trauma, if you were isolated away away from people, whatever you've experienced, if you lacked guidance, parenting, whatever that is, you're going to see your life from that perspective at this age. And so until you're willing to look internally and pull out and say, okay, I know I'm dealing with this, let me go ahead and put a magnifying glass to this and let me deal with it, you're going to continue to respond as that 7-year-old child that went through trauma. You're going to continue to act as that 10-year-old child that went through trauma. You're going to continue to decide like that 13-year-old teenager, preteen that went through trauma. And so you have to be able to deal with the internal things that's going on, because that is where the issues lie, okay? Where you're having issues moving forward, where you're struggling mentally, where you're struggling emotionally, a lot of that has to do with what happened in childhood. And so I know my followers, those that follow me, y'all know I'm big on that. I'm always going to tell you the truth about that, and that is the absolute truth, all right? So I want to talk to you a little bit about 5 wounds, okay? Simplified. Again, share this with anyone you feel would be able to benefit from this, all right? And so we're going to kind of talk through this a little bit. And once you share, put a heart for me, all right? So what I want to do is I want to highlight some areas that you may feel like you're dealing with, and I'm going to backtrack that to a childhood wound that you may have experienced, okay? So if you are experiencing perfectionism, okay, we know that perfectionism is a huge thing for people. Perfectionism will cause you not to move forward in your goals and your purpose. Perfectionism will keep you stagnated from producing, your vision. Perfectionism will really keep you in a cycle of idea and not moving forward, idea and not following through, because you want everything to be perfect. And also perfectionism keeps you from really building core relationships with people, because you're not being who you are. You're not showing up in the trueness of who you are. You're showing up as a representation of who you want people to see you as. And so perfectionism has so many different areas in which it impacts negatively when it comes to the person. And so if you are a person that is struggling or has struggled with perfectionism, more than likely in childhood, you have experienced either rejection or you've experienced harsh negative criticism, okay? As a child, it goes back to a wounding of rejection or harsh negative criticism, okay? So those are probably the 2 reasons, and there's other reasons as well. So this is just a little bit of an overview to give you some understanding. This is not the end all be all. There's definitely more complexities to it. But if you are dealing with perfectionism, I'm going to tell you, you want to look and see, did I deal with harsh negative criticism throughout my life as a child? Were my parents extremely critical of me? Did you only get praises, when you did good things, but when you did not do so well, you began to be torn down. You were said not to be good enough. You were called dumb or stupid. You were called whatever. And these harsh negative criticisms begin to create a wounding in a child of trauma. And now you want to make sure that you never have to experience either that rejection or that harsh negative criticism again. So you try to control outcomes. Okay, so people that are dealing with perfectionism, you are trying to ultimately control the outcome. You want to control the situation, and you also want to control how people view you, because you never want to be seen as flawed. You never want people to see you as a failure, because that again will cause that harsh negative criticism, or in your mind it triggers rejection, okay? And so it all ties back to the fact that in childhood, that is what you experienced. Now you also could have experienced some type of bullying, okay? Going through childhood and experiencing bullying from your peers and different things of that nature, again, that's harsh negative criticism. That's saying that there is something wrong with you that needs to be fixed. That's saying that you're not good enough. That's saying that what you provide, whether that's externally or internally, is not enough. And so something is wrong with you. Again, rejection. Again, harsh negative criticism. Can you imagine as a second grader, you're innocent. You're just innocent. You don't have any, there's like, I don't come to school thinking there's anything wrong with me. I don't come to school, trying to start trouble. I don't know, some kids may, just depending on their upbringing, but I come to school with a pure mindset. I'm pure, I'm young, I'm innocent, and you have to go through all of this bullying and people, telling you you're not good enough, or other children that are in traumatic environments in their own home, experiencing abuse and experiencing alcoholism or experiencing whatever, and they're acting out and taking their frustrations out on other children. You can only imagine what that begins to produce produce in a mind of a child, right? That viewpoint and that mindset that's cultivated, in a child, and that with that much innocence and not expecting anything of that nature to happen. And so when you have been bullied, or you're considered the outcast in school, or the black sheep in your family, that's rejection. That's harsh negative criticism. And so that leads to perfection in adults, because I don't want to be seen as having an issue. I don't want to be seen as the problem. I don't want to be seen, for the flaws that I have. And so you struggle strongly emotionally, and you also have a hard time accepting faults. You have a hard time as an adult probably accepting criticism at this age as well, because of what you experienced in childhood. And so it's important that you realize who you are today and how that connects to what you experienced as a child. Where are my perfectionists? Okay, who's struggling with perfectionism? Who's dealt with perfectionism? Who did that make sense to? Did that help any of you? And so it's a real thing. And so a lot of people deal with perfectionism. A lot of people struggle in that area. A lot of people experience that, because even adults, raising children, you don't realize how when you nitpick yourself, you're more than likely going to also pick apart your children. It's almost like a second nature thing when you are experiencing some of these internal battles, specifically for yourself. You end up reflecting that on your children without even realizing it. So if you are a parent, I want to encourage you, do what you need, do what's necessary for you to heal internally. Deal with your own perfectionism issues, and deal with your own rejection issues, so that you don't take that on your children, or reflect your own inward battles on them. And so if we can heal ourselves as adults, we can do so much better for our children, because what our parents may not have been willing to do, or may not have the resources to do, we have the resources, we have the opportunities, especially right now with how big mental and emotional health is. We have to be willing to do the work necessary so that we breed a different generation to come. We are the result of our parents and the generations before us. And so now we have an opportunity to shape another generation. And so no matter how old you are, you can take ownership of what goes on in your life currently. You can stand up and say, I'm going to do something different so that my children's children don't have to experience or work through the same issues that I've had to work through. Generational trauma is a real thing. Passing down traits and passing down habits, passing down, communication styles, passing down all these different things are real, and so you have to be willing to switch up the narrative, all right? So that's perfectionism. And then one thing I also want to say about perfectionism that I did not know is that religion can also cultivate perfectionism in people. If you grew up in a very religious home, if you grew up in a very religious environment, religion tells you that you have to be perfect, okay? Religion tells you that you cannot have fault. Religion tells you that there can be nothing wrong with you. You have to be perfect at all times. And if you're not perfect, then there's shame that's attached to that. There is a lot of blaming that's attached to that. They're going to, basically mark you and say something is wrong with you, or you are in sin and you're going to hell, and all these different things. There is no grace message in religion. And we all know that Jesus is all about grace, okay? And so if you've grown up in environments like that, if you went to a very religious church, or your family had very religious views, and you were not given the space and the grace to learn and to be transformed and to make mistakes and to grow like any child or teenager has to do, but it was placed on you to be perfect at all times, to not be honest about your struggles, to not be real about what's happening internally within you, it's going to cultivate this mindset of perfectionism and perfection. And so you're going to grow up thinking that's what you have to be. And so a lot of hidden things behind the scenes happen, when it comes to religion. And so that's just one of the things that also happen, or one of the things that can also cause perfectionism in adults. All right. Y'all following me so far? Y'all sharing this broadcast? Let me see what we got. Let me go sign up for the group soul clinic. I love that. Come on, go book your soul assessment. All right. So next we have Okay, so next we have, before I go into it, because I want to tell you what you may be dealing with, okay? So, if you are a person and you're currently dealing with isolation, or you've struggled with isolation is a struggle for you, or a second part to that, you're overly loyal. Okay, overly loyal, even to the point of abuse. So if you are dealing with isolation, or two, you are overly loyal to the point of abuse, what that can be tracked back to is abandonment. Whether it's from the mother or the father, that tracks back to a childhood wounding of abandonment. Okay, so there's, when it comes to abandonment, either you are going to, hey, so either you're going to go to one of the two extremes. I'm going to completely isolate myself because I never want to feel like I am being dropped or left ever again, okay? Or number two, I'm going to be overly loyal because I never want to feel like someone is leaving me, or I'm doing something to make someone leave me or drop me or whatever. And so abandonment can cause two extremes, all right? And so you either cling to people, okay, completely cling to them with dear life. I don't want you to leave me. I don't want to do anything wrong that will cause you to leave me. You could be hurting me. You could be harming me. You could be doing the worst of the worst things to me. But even through abuse, I am going to remain loyal to you because I don't want to feel what it feels like to be abandoned. I don't want to feel what it feels like to be left and feel like I have nothing to hold on to. I don't want to deal with the emotional complexities or the emotional strain of what it feels like to be, someone that I love completely just tells me that I'm leaving you and there's no explanation of it. I'm leaving you and that's because I'm choosing someone else over you. I'm leaving you and that's because I'm choosing a career or a pursuit over you. I'm leaving you because you're not good enough. I'm leaving you. Those are the things that happen when you're a child. If you have a mother or father who leaves without explanation, divorce, maybe they move to a different city, maybe they themselves get married to someone else, or whatever, as a child you're not really able to process that fully, or process that in a healthy manner. And so that leads to cultivating this mindset of, okay, only way that I can protect myself, because when it comes to abandonment, you're trying to protect yourself, all right? You're trying to protect yourself from feeling what you felt before. You're trying to protect yourself from being dropped. You're trying to protect yourself from the experience of abandonment. And so there's a protection mechanism that begins to be cultivated. Either I'm going to go in isolation, where I don't want to deal with people at all. All right. I don't want to connect with people. I won't allow you to go deep within, an intimate connection. I'm going to remain surface level with you. If you ask me about my feelings, I'm probably going to say, I'm probably not going to say much. I'm going to say that I'm good. And that's one thing I myself have dealt with. My husband, when we were courting, he would always ask me, well, every time I ask you what's, how you're feeling, you're like, I'm good. And even to this day, I still just say that because it's a habit of the environment that I came out of. And it's a habit of the child, within me that dealt with abandonment issues. And so I have to force myself to say, okay, I said that I'm good, but how else are you feeling? Let's go into a little bit more detail. But when you've dealt with abandonment, you are afraid of people leaving. You are afraid of people disconnecting themselves from you. You are afraid of people, leaving you in an emotional war that you don't necessarily have the language to, or the bandwidth to be able to process, on your own. And so you begin to either, like I said, I'm not going to be vulnerable. I have a hard time connecting with people. Expressing or communicating my feelings is extremely difficult. Or you're going to cling to that person, whether they abuse you, whether they, are verbally abusive, whether they're physically abusive, whether they're mentally abusive, emotionally abusive. I'm going to stay and track this out because I don't want to be abandoned again. And so if you are a person that's struggling with that, or you're a person that's dealt with that, more than likely you've experienced abandonment from your mother or your father at a young age. And abandonment is not just, hey, I'm going to leave you and never talk to you again. Abandonment could be choosing something over you as a child. I gave the example of maybe maybe your mother or your father divorced, right? And they went to marry someone else, or they went to move to a different city or whatever. As a child, you don't know how to process that, as this is what adults do when they are in these situations, or this is how divorce works, or whatever. You don't know necessarily how to process that. And so abandonment could be the mindset or the trauma that you experienced. And so you have to be able to look internally and say, or even look at your life and ask, where has abandonment shown up that I didn't necessarily know it was abandonment, right? Sometimes we don't even know that it is what it is, or what we've experienced, what we can call it, okay? And so you want to look at that and determine, have I dealt with abandonment? Is abandonment something that I've experienced, okay? I see on here, wow, I see it, okay? I see your comments. I see your comments. All right, so let me go ahead and go to number 3, okay? So number 3, if you struggle with an identity crisis as an adult, you feel like personally you are struggling with an identity crisis. You don't know who you are. You don't know what your purpose is. You don't know where to go from here. You have a hard time, just feeling comfortable in your own skin. You just don't know, like I said, you don't know who you are. You're just in a place of confusion. You lack a lot of clarity. There's just a lot of cloudiness, mentally for you. And you just feel like, I don't even know what I'm on the earth to do. I don't know what I'm called to do. I don't know what steps to take in life. I don't know any of those things. And so if you are a person that's dealing with an identity crisis, I'm going to trace that back for you. And that is more than likely because you lacked affirmation in your identity or validation in your childhood, okay? If you lacked affirmation or validation in your childhood, that is going to create, as an adult, an identity crisis, okay? When your father particularly does not affirm you, when your father does not build you up with words, when your father does not tell you that you are good enough, when your father does not say well done, when your father does not say I love you, when your father does not, speak good things over you, when he doesn't build you up, but instead maybe he tears you down, maybe he's extremely critical, maybe he doesn't talk much, maybe he doesn't know how to communicate his feelings or his emotions towards you. If you've experienced that throughout your childhood, then you're going to be in an identity crisis. The father is the one who should be affirming and validating their child. They build up that identity in their children, the mothers too, but specifically the father. When you are void in that area or having that relationship with your father, or your father was completely absent, just completely absent in your life, or extremely busy, not being able to tend to you as in your needs, but working, hours and hours, not being available when you want to talk, or not being available to give insight to you, just regarding things that you may be dealing with or struggling with internally. You didn't have a connection with them. You didn't have a relationship with him. You are going to develop an identity crisis as you grow older. And so that could look like, struggling to be able to build and maintain strong relationships. Why? Because you don't have a strong relationship with yourself. Because you're lacking identity in who you are. There is no way that you can build sustainable relationships with other people when you don't know who you are, okay? You're probably going to jump from one friendship to the next friendship, one friendship to the next friendship, one relationship to the next relationship, one relationship to the next relationship, because you're trying to fill a void, or you're trying to look for someone to give you language to who you are, yet no one can fulfill that. That's an inward childhood void that you have to be willing to open up, talk about, deal with, and heal. No one else can do that for you. And so you may be struggling personally with an identity crisis. You may be smack dab in an identity crisis. And so you may also see that you have some emotional instabilities. People that struggle with their identity, people that struggle are in an identity crisis, are going to struggle emotionally. There are going to be some emotional instabilities there because you are in an internal war. Who am I? What am I called to do? I don't know who I am. And just that lack of validation and that lack of affirmation throughout your childhood. That little girl, that little boy is wanting that affirmation, that validation, and is craving someone to give them identity. Okay, you're craving someone to say this is who you are. You're craving someone to speak that over you because there's such a lack and such a void. Is this making sense? Anybody can say in transparency or vulnerability that maybe you yourself are dealing with an identity crisis. I know it's a hard thing to be honest about. I know it's a hard thing to, be transparent and vulnerable about. I know it's a hard thing to say, that's me, but you have to be willing to open up and give truth to where there may be lies within you based on different things that you've experienced in childhood, okay? All right. Oh, Rod, I will repost it. So I'll repost it tonight. So it will be, you can replay it later on. Okay. All right, good. So I see a couple people that say, yeah, I'm dealing with an identity crisis. Listen, we all probably have been through one, but, grateful that we can overcome it. All right. So then here's is this the last one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I said 5, but I only did 4. Oops. So I'm gonna have to change the title of this. So here's the number, here's number 4. All right. So if you yourself feel like, you know what, I may be dealing with a little, and here's the thing, most people don't realize this, but this can be a true thing. Like I said before, you may be saying to yourself, I know something is off, but I just cannot pinpoint what that is. I know something internally is wrong, but I just cannot pinpoint what that is. I know that I'm struggling in an area, but I just cannot pinpoint what that is. And so this next wound may not be something that you are aware of. It may not be something that you can, say specifically that you're dealing with, but it could be something that you're dealing with, okay? And so the next childhood wound, or the 4th childhood wound, is arrested development, okay? As an adult, so it's not a childhood wound specifically, but this is what the outcome is as an adult: arrested development, okay? You may be personally dealing with, as an adult, arrested development, okay? And so when we think about that term, okay, when we think about arrested development, okay, we're thinking about emotional immaturity, okay? Something in your life stunted your growth emotionally, all right? Something in your life stunted your growth emotionally, all right? And so this can trace back all the way from when you were 1 year old, all right? People don't really realize that even at that young of an age, something could have happened, whether it was a lack of nurture or attention from your parents, okay, as far back as 1 year old. And this can be very traumatic for a child because every child has specific needs that have to be met. When you lack nurture in your childhood, maybe your family were not very nurturing, your mother, your father, maybe they were very distant from you. If you were not given the proper upbringing as far as grooming, nurturing, hugs, kisses, affirmation, all those different things. If there was a very much so a disconnection there emotionally, if your parents were not present emotionally for you based on their own mental and emotional struggles, this can cause so many different things in your development emotionally, okay? And so ultimately, this can lead to arrested development. So again, a stagnation or a lack of growth in your emotional development. There's going to be some emotional immaturities that are very visible at the age that you are now. So at 40 years old, you could literally be making decisions, behaving emotionally from the age of 12, of a 12-year-old person. And so you may be asking yourself, why do I keep making these same decisions? Why does it seem like, I'm stuck in this same mindset? You may be asking yourself, or you may see patterns or different things of that nature that look like, childhood immaturities. And you're asking yourself, why am I still here? Or maybe people have told you directly, that's very childish, or you act a certain way, or you act very immature, or you may hear the same language over and over again from others. And so I just want to encourage you to think about our former president. Listen. So I just want to encourage you to think about what that could be connected to. Okay, what that could be connected to. So if you are a person that you feel like maybe I am dealing with arrested development, maybe my emotional age is way younger than what it should be. Maybe this is an area that in which you are struggling in. I want to encourage you to look throughout your childhood, okay? This could be a childhood wounding. Not receiving what you need to receive as a child. Basic childhood needs like nurture can be very traumatic for children. And so we don't even realize how big of an impact it has on us as an adult who is trying to figure out why am I stuck in a cycle of abuse? Why am I stuck in a cycle of making, bad decisions? Why am I stuck in a cycle of X, Y, and Z? And that can all trace back to arrested development, which has its roots in what happened to you in childhood. And so if you've experienced it, if you've heard people talk to you about your emotional immaturities, or you yourself look in the mirror and say, you know what, something's not right here. I'm just trying to figure out, why do I seem so immature in this area, and where is that coming from? And so it's probably something to do with a lack of parentification, a lack of different things that may have happened. And so when you think about parentification, you think about where there was a lack of parenting for you, and now you have to kind of reparent yourself. Okay. And so when your parents lack the ability to truly parent you, you now have to groom and parent yourself. And so you have to fill in the voids. You have to do the work to be able to grow yourself up where your parents may have dropped the ball. Okay. And so I just want to encourage you in that. And so here are 3 things you can ask yourself to really help you kind of sort through these childhood woundings. And I know I said 5, but I did 4. I'll come back on and give y'all some more. So before I go into the questions that you can ask yourself, how y'all feeling so far? Put that up there for me. How you feeling? How you feeling? I want to hear some feedback. I want to know what stood out to you. I want to know what made sense to you. I want to know what what was like an aha moment for you. I just want to know what you are feeling currently, or maybe what you pulled out of this live broadcast that you're like, that's me, or I need to work on that, or these are areas that I need to really put forth in. Eye opener. Okay, good. Revealing. Love that, love that, love that. Awakened. All right, I love these little words. Like we need to talk. Relieved. Okay. I have to be delivered from most of these. Okay, now I'm good, but let me heal some more. I'm feeling exposed, but the lingo is going on with, okay, you put lingo to what is going on with me. Okay. Forced to reflect. Love it. Okay, good. So that was that was what I wanted. All right. You pinpointed everything. That is exactly what I wanted for you, and that's what I wanted you to be able to open up and realize that there may be some things that's going on within you. And so I want to give you 3 questions to ask yourself. If you feel like you watch this broadcast, you're replaying the broadcast, and you're trying to determine, are these one of my childhood wounds or other childhood wounds that you may be experiencing or you have experienced in your life, okay? Maybe they're none of these 4, but maybe there are others that you can pinpoint yourself. It's important that we try to also do the work that's necessary for us to overcome and to heal. And so number 1, here's a question you can ask yourself. What does my life history display about me emotionally today? Okay? What does my life's history display about me emotionally today? Okay? So what happened over the course of your life that has impacted you emotionally today? What are your emotions showing about the history of your life? Okay, that's a question to ask yourself and that will help you determine or help you get some clarity about what you may be experiencing internally, or also just things that you may need to work on. And so then you have number 2. What is my childhood wounding? What is my childhood wounding? And there's probably more than one. I'm pretty sure there are more than one. Okay, so you want to just ask yourself. List out a few of them. What is my childhood wounding? You can list 10 of them. You can list 3 of them. You can list whatever you need to list, but you want to ask yourself, what is my childhood wounding? And then number 3, what can I do to overcome it? Okay, what can I do to heal? What are the necessary steps I need to heal? All right, so when it comes to healing, you do need a plan. Okay, you need a plan. You don't just wake up and you're like, oh, today I am healed. Everything I've been through in my life is just done with. It's over. I wish it was that easy, right? We wish that it was just that easy to wake up and be like, oh, this is done. This is over. There's no more rejection issues, no more insecurity, no more imposter syndrome, no more of these things, no more trauma. We're just done. I wish it was that easy. We'd all be in a better place, right? But you have to know that there has to be a plan of action to heal. You have to be able to take steps to it. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a process of healing, okay? It's a process. It's a journey of revealing, discovering, overcoming, and putting action to what you are doing to heal, okay? And then here's just kind of like the last thing to touch on. What do I do to overcome it? You have to pursue it, okay? Healing is a pursuit. It is a pursuit after wholeness. It is a pursuit after, a growth. It is a pursuit after personal development. This is not something that you just say, okay, I'm going to do it, and you do it. You have to actually pursue it. You have to put action behind your words. You have to put action behind your decisions, all right? And so that is something you absolutely have to do. And so if you are a person that feel like, you know what, this was a broadcast that was for me, this is a live that is for me, I just want to encourage you to join the Group Soul Clinic program. This is the work that we do inside of the program, and this is the work that we're going to dig into and challenge you to grow through. So you can go ahead and click the link in my bio to schedule a soul assessment. If this is something that you feel personally you need to work on, you can look over the program offer and decide if it's a good fit for you. I've opened up the opportunity, but you have to pursue your own healing. You have to pursue your own wellness. You have to pursue your own transformation. When opportunity awakens itself, you have to make the decision if it's something that you want to move forward in, or if you want to continue to struggle in the same areas you've struggled in year after year, season after season. So I hope that this live broadcast was extremely helpful for you. I hope that it brought some great clarity to you. I hope that it was really informative. I hope that it awakened a fight in you to go after some of the areas that, have been cycles for you in the past. I truly hope that it is going to help you make a decision also to heal. So I'll be back on a couple times this month. I'm loving these discussions. If there's something specific you want me to talk about or touch base on, DM me. I love to hear the topics that y'all want to hear about. I love to be able to bring to you just good information to help you heal and to help you transform. So if there's something specific that you want to touch base on, or something specific you have a question about, and you're like, you know what, can you give me some information about that, Raven? Can you do a live broadcast to help me out, help a sister out, right, on some of these topics? And so if that's something that you want to hear about or something you feel like you need, DM me. I'm going to take note of these so that I can provide you with some good information. So that has been my absolute, dedication for this year, and just my absolute promise is to provide you with quality, okay? Quality information that truly transforms, or quality information that awakens a pursuit in you, okay? So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing, and that's where we are going. So thank y'all for hanging out with me on a Thursday afternoon. And so we will talk soon. Have a good one.